All right, guys, we are back again. This time with Shane Davis, who we did an interview with him a couple months ago, and that was a whole lot of fun. And I definitely interested in catching up on some of the stuff that we talked about previously, because it was like right in the beginning of COVID, or right like May-ish, I think. Yeah. So lots happened since then. And we'll get caught up with him very shortly. And he also is going to have some, at least one sketch to auction off for you guys, and some cool cards, man.
Yeah, some signed prints. Many signed prints.
Yeah,
DC official signed prints.
Yeah. So we'll get there shortly. But first, let's pay the bills.
I could start now while he's pulling this up, but I've memorized it. Here we go. The Shortbox Podcast, going 8 years strong, based out of Jacksonville, Florida. Weekly opinionated podcast on comic and pop culture topics. You're looking for a new podcast, make it the Shortbox.
JJ's Comics and Art. Head to their Instagram bio to check out some of the coolest, just cool comics, cool graded comics, cool art, cool other stuff, lots of other stuff. Funko Pops, anything you want in the collectible community. JJ's probably has it.
Tune into the Doug Mankey broadcast for some cool JJ news also. Scott's Collectibles. Scott was kind enough to lend us Lucio, Carla, Alan. Great people there, Daniel Scott. Head over to scottscollectibles.co.uk for more offerings.
MajorPain.com is a brand new retailer that just launched their website. Give their Facebook page a like, maybe join their insider group. And if you feel like it, you want to talk comics with someone, Ed would be happy to take your phone call and find any comics or comic art you're looking for.
Alpha Omega Certification is the official CGC facilitator for Comic Conline. Head over to alphaomegacertification.com for other signing opportunities.
OutrightGeekery.com is the official news provider for Comic Conline. Head to their website and check out the latest in comic-related news.
I went to the Comic Book Shopping Network last night, got 10 comics for $6. So head over there. It's a great Facebook group for retailers, or if you're looking to buy stuff, check it out.
OasisComics.com is your home for Jay Lee and David Barron exclusive covers. Go over there now and check out the Power Rangers Color Blank exclusives. They have, I believe, all 6, and they're pretty damn cool.
And if you haven't seen it yet, go back. Not right now, though, but after tonight or after this video is done, go check out Brian Polita's video. There is a preview on there of what the Archer and Comic-Con line exclusive Lady Death is going to look like. It is gorgeous. So check that out. CoffinComicShop.com.
All right, guys. Now we'll go ahead and bring Shane on screen. And
what's going on, Augie?
Let's catch up with him.
What's going on,
How's it going,
guys?
Shane?
It's going. Working on some commissions.
What?
Number 2.
Oh.
Okay, that's just.
All
right, sorry.
Okay.
Working on something there.
Yeah. So let's put this one up. Oop. All right. So last we talked, Shane, it was kind of the beginning of COVID, like right there in the middle of the lockdowns and whatnot, maybe April, May. I can't exactly remember when. It was the week after Comic Conline, the last one. So you had just kind of joined in, or you were going to join in with the Jim Lee charity auction stuff.
Yeah. That went pretty well, actually. I did a Superman piece for that. Raised some money for retailers. That was a while ago, though, so that's kind of came and gone. But it was exciting. There were some really good pieces and people working on that, so I was just thrilled to be involved. I was super excited to get in the mix on that. I think it raised over $2,000. So
nice.
It was a nice turnaround for retailers or for that event. Not so sure how the money gets divided up, but it was still nice to be involved with that.
Now, you'd also, when you were talking about that, you kind of mentioned you saw a lot of artists bring in like that A+ game to that piece, trying to I guess, kind of one up each other a little bit. Now, do you feel like you brought that to that piece, or has that inspired your art afterwards?
Not so much afterwards. I mean, I'm still, doing the working on the same book I own, so it's really hard for me to uh, uh, change any type of style or technique on it as I'm working on it, because it's supposed to be a consistent run. So sometimes I've meddled with my finishing style whenever I go on to a new project a little bit. So this one, I think I've done a few covers. I've really kind of tried to turn it up on a little bit. I'm trying to think. I started during COVID. I started putting together artwork for a new project. I have a pre-launch page for the Starlight Cats. I've been working and putting a little bit more effort into that. That's going to be a passion project of mine that I'm going to do after Metal Men. So those are two different things, though. I mean, that was just more of a creative venture because it's about a little girl and 4 space cats. So it's kind of like more like fun Dexter type stuff. So, but I've been putting a lot into it. I'm still working on Metal Men, but I'm towards the end of my Metal Men run. So haven't really been doing too many covers lately, though. I have so many interior pages going on right now. Most of the covers I've done is for my new book, not anything new, because to do the pre-launch page, we wanted like at least 4 pages of art done, plus the 2 covers. Plus that stuff is weird because we're having to figure out like the business model, what perks we want to give people as we go along. We're looking at getting some enamel pins made for the campaign. So doing all that stuff has been, I don't want to say it's taxing on your time, but you do end up, I don't know, like getting numbers, looking at shipping costs. I'm sure you guys understand this part of it from your business. You just have to looking at everything, cost of Gemini mailers, all that stuff. So been crunching numbers a lot actually with that. So here's I think I have my camera on that works better now. This is a Bleeze commission I'm working on now. But I do have a couple of things we can auction off. I'll bring up. This is in the works if anybody wants it. I have a Supergirl commission. I don't know if the pencils will show up here too. Nice. Well, if somebody wants to for that. And I also have a Hal Jordan commission here done. This is a bust piece, Hal Jordan, that's for auction. And then, like you said before, because my other camera maybe picks this up a lot better. This is a Superman. These are numbered. These were from Italy for Superman Earth 1. I came away with a stack of these. These were exclusive cards that came with some, I guess you'd had to buy the Earth 1 book then. So these are, I can sign, and these, if somebody wants some of those.
So what would the cards, what's the price on that's going to be roughly?
I don't know. You want to say like, I have no idea. I hate to say $10, but like, I don't know, 5 or something, I guess. I'm not. I just found it.
I was thinking like 20.
Yeah, I was thinking like 20.
Yeah. And they came from another country. We'll do 25. Yeah. That's fine. They came from another publisher. Because in other countries they do like. Sorry, somebody's messing on my desk. In another country. They do like translation runs. So these were never in the US. These were basically there for a translation run. It's even got the name of the company at the bottom, that the translation company. So whenever a comic goes to another country, if English is not a common language, they have to do like they have to basically re-letter the whole book, translate it, re-letter it, and reprint that book and ship and distribute it just in that country alone. It's so like with certain books that you do in your life, if they're popular enough, or if they seem like kind of like to the bone of the character or something. I guess I would say like kind of meat and potatoes type character driven story. A lot of times they get legs. Like I know Superman Earth One was translated in like China, Japanese. It was Italian, French, even like Mongolian. I think it went everywhere. So there's been lots of translations of it. I only have these because I went to Naples to do a signing, so they gave me a stack of these. So
yeah, we kind of get some of those in. Like with the Artgerm covers, we kind of search out some of the oddities, and like Panini Comics does one through Germany and stuff like that, where they're full virgin covers. So we definitely get into the international market for comics lately to see what we can find.
Sometimes they do better print jobs. Like on the Earth One book, it was actually it looked nicer the translation copy, because on the inside jacket they had a promo piece I had done, and they turned it sideways. So as soon as you open the book, you turn it sideways. You had like a nice fold out of Superman landing and punching the ground. So basically the companies just give them the files, and they don't want to deviate the cover too much, but they can. So a lot of times they purposely try to make their collection look unique in some way. It's interesting. I never see these things for sale, so that's the weird part. Like some of their collections are a lot nicer. I would buy. I mean, of course, I can't read them, but the European market, for people that are just tuning in on this, that they're more used to European albums than floppies. So I don't know if they try to make their book design on the hardcovers is a little bit more prestige than ours. They just look at it a little bit differently and cosmetically and make nicer hardcovers, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, the paper quality on these comics too are just phenomenal.
Yeah,
you mentioned Belize earlier, and I guess one of the things that I don't know if a lot of people know watching is you pretty much, outside of Atrocitus, you created most of the Red Lantern Corps.
Yeah. So basically, the ones that I'm gonna name the ones that people know the most would be Belize, Dexter, Scalox is the big goat head guy, and that guy I made specifically to fight Kilowog, even though I never got to draw them. So a lot of times you'll see in the cartoon, like the Green Lantern animated series they did years ago, like they would have scenes with Scalox and Kilowog fighting. Then there's the ones like Vice, who they killed, but then they resurrected. He was actually in the DC Online game as a boss. He's been in some other video games, and then there's Ratchet, which is like a jellyfish. Pretty much in most of them, actually. I've created most of them. Ethan did Atrocitus, and it was weird. He even admitted the other day that I had to kind of take his Atrocitus drawing and get it to work, because he had just drawn an alien in. Like, it was one of those things where he just had to draw Red Lantern in one time on the double page spread. I think that was at the end of the Sinestro Corps War. There was a double page spread with all the lanterns. So I had to take Ethan's drawing of Atrocitus, which was kind of like a hamburger face thing profile, and then get it to work. So then I basically took that and I took a skull and kind of try to use some of his texture on a weird alien skull, and that's how I developed the look of Atrocitus, which they kind of use. But it's weird, like in DC Comics, they keep basically my model of Atrocitus going that I drew, but every time he goes into a video game or cartoon, he always looks different. I don't know if they think that model looks too scary, but even in Injustice, he looks different. He's the one that always looks different when he goes somewhere. But Belize, she was in Superhero Girls, the cartoon show, and she's also in DC and the JLA Adventures thing they're doing now. And she looks identical to my design, which is weird because I would think that's the one they need to dial down. because I kind of treated her when I designed her as kind of like a latex, kind of like, I know this is like pencil, but fishnet type, not fishnet, but latex boots and all this, and latex mask. So I mean, she kind of had like a weird dominatrix, Lady Death type feeling, that material that she would wear, that skin tight, Vampirilla, like without being so naked, she had that vibe when I designed her. And that's so weird that like she goes into all these other shows for kids and they kind of keep her the same. So evident, even she was in the Lego games, and she has the same. I mean, of course, she's a Lego figure. They probably don't need to unsex her down. Lego figures aren't sexy, but but it's still weird to see her in superhero girls, in the same suit, or like the new Justice League Adventure stuff they do now. And Dexter gets around in it too. Like he's the one that gets around the most. He's been in 2 Lego games, every cartoon show except the last one, even in the new Justice League show he's in. He didn't make it into that Green Lantern animated series they did.
No, I mean, I would think, Dexter, I mean, outside of Atrocitus, Dexter is probably the most popular of the Red Lanterns. Did you think that was going to happen when you created Dexter?
No, I don't think. I think I talked to somebody else about it, but it wasn't you guys. But he was actually a practical joke. If I had the book to open up, which I don't, if you look at the double-page spread of the Red Lanterns, you'll see Dexter's kind of hidden behind somebody's arm or elbow. And the idea when you draw a comic character, like if I had the Avengers, and if you'll notice, you see a classic Avenger shot. If there's Ant-Man or Wasp, they're always up front. The reason they're up front is so they're overlapping the big things in front. For me to put Dexter back here made no sense. He was supposed to be erased. It was just a cat head poking out to be erased. And I turned it in as a practical joke, and then they just went crazy over it, and they wanted to work him into the book. And it's funny, I told this story the other day. So all the artwork was done. I was working with Jeff on it, and the color files are getting done, and it's lettered, and it's getting close to the wire, right? All of a sudden, there's an email from Jeff saying, well, first I said you can use him, but you have to call him Dexter because my cat's name's Dexter. And I thought it was a nice twist on Starscream or something like that, right? Just kind of like an 80s type name. So they're like, haha, yeah, we'll call him Dexter. So at the end, Jeff, though, had a moment where he was like, this is too goofy. People won't like it. And keep in mind, all the pages are drawn. The page with him blowing up an alien's face or vomiting and melting an alien's face, all this stuff. And Jeff wanted antennas drawn on him to make him an alien. He thought it was too goofy. He was an Earth cat. And I said, no, that if you do that, it's not going to work, because like I think Chip the Squirrel is an alien, right? So I'm like, it's not going to work if it's not a house cat. It has to be a house cat. And I argued against it, but we compromised. And I said, look, if you're worried about it looking too realistic, we'll make him more of a bluish gray. So like Tom from Tom and Jerry. So he went from looking like, I think I even have color pages of it somewhere in my email, looking more like a white and gray cat to being more of a blue hue to look more animated. And that was our compromise. And everybody loved it. But even Jeff at the last second worried that he should be an alien cat, not an Earth cat, which I just kind of disagreed with and talked him out of it. So it is like it went from a practical joke to it almost didn't happen that he was an Earth cat to what everybody has today and they love. It is a weird story, that character. But yeah, the reason it was a joke wasn't a joke to DC. It was a joke between me and a girlfriend at the time because my cat didn't like her. And we had these Green Lantern rings that they would give away with the comics at the comic shops. And I would put one on his tail and say, don't mess with him. He's got a Green Lantern ring. And that was the joke. So the joke really wasn't for DC. It was just a joke between me and her. And he was going to be erased. And DC Jeff loved it and wanted to work him into the book. It's a really weird, long story. But all that happened in that one issue. A lot of characters came out of that, Red Lanterns had their own series, but a lot of these characters like Scalux and Bleeze and Dexter are recently in some animation. Actually, Dexter was just in a Lego animated movie, like it was some Atlantis movie, and they had Atrocitus in it. And it seems like every time Atrocitus is in some, especially Legos, they have to throw Dexter in with it. So it's weird.
We do have some questions. Brian Davis asked if you're accepting any cover commissions currently, and I don't believe so because you are very busy at the moment. Correct? The plan. You other projects kind of crept up on you.
Yeah. A lot of things kind of snuck up on me, so I'm not taking too many commissions. I have some in the works that I have a Supergirl in the works, and I did have a Deathstroke in the works if somebody wants it that I found. These must be commissions I started at a con. I have a Deathstroke. Also, that's pretty much in the works if anybody wants these. These were just stuff I was either doing at a con, and I found that we're halfway done that I could auction off. But they're not sketch covers.
If they were completed, how much?
Completed pencils. If I'd have to look it up. Give me a second. I have my price list here somewhere. I'll bring it up in a second. If you guys want to ask me something else.
Brian also asked if you have any Metal Men pages available. Original art. I mean, he can be away from it if you do, but
I do. If you contact me on Facebook, I do have some Metal Men pages. I wasn't planning on doing those here, so I'd have to look up and give you prices on what's available, to be honest. The best thing about that to do is just to contact me through Facebook, and I can get back to you on that. All right, I'm looking here. I can give you a price on these. For the upper body ones, like pencils, upper body, the Deathstroke for pencils would be like 200 and say 250 ink, and the same for the Supergirl, which is just started. It's not too done or anything. I just I had these two lying around. It must be something I was working on at conventions at some point. But contact me about the Metal Men pages, and it helps me also if there's something specific you're looking for, because there's a lot of pages with different things on them.
So with doing Metal Men, was there, with those characters not having like a traditional anatomy, was there any challenges in kind of doing that? Was great doing like Red Lanterns help you with that?
I've had to. That book's been weird for a couple of reasons. I've always loved Silver Surfer. I grew up reading Silver Surfer. I was huge into Silver Surfer in the 90s. So like the Ron Lim, Jim Starlin era, going like before Infinity Gauntlet, or in all that big crossover events, that was a big book for me. So I was really psyched just to draw that type of metallic type of character. I knew about the Metal Men. I was excited about it. The challenge really is with Mercury and Tin, because they're the more animated ones, but I kind of have a realistic style, so getting them to fit in. It was a little tricky at first, and even Led, the really big guy. I hate to say this, and this is the thing that you get better as the more you draw them. So unfortunately, and this probably happens not just with me, but a lot of comic artists, but if you go back to the beginning of them drawing one of these odd characters in the series and you look later on, they probably look better the further they go. So, like, I'd hate to say if I was ever on the Fantastic Four, like my thing would probably look better the more I do it than at the first issue. It's just like you're never really prepared for those weird characters. Because you're not asked to draw that body type that much, unless you're like somebody like Dale Keown, who was working on the Hulk all the time. Of course, he'd draw Lead really good, or he would draw like Doomsday really awesome because he's done it so much. Those characters with those weird body types are so far and in between in comics, especially DC comics. We don't have those characters with those body types like Marvel does. You know, they have the Thing, Colossus, Juggernaut, the Hulk, all those big guys, right? And you'll come across them. DC has almost zero of those. Most DC characters actually all have the same body type. For the most part, whereas Marvel breaks that mold. So it's interesting because in Metal Men, I have Mercury, who's kind of tall and thin, and then I have Tin, who is misproportioned. He's kind of like a dwarf, but kind of. And what's weird is Tin and Mercury kind of have this same weird long nose, so it's kind of cartoonish. And I do a good job of getting that to mix in, but it's tricky. I mean, plus the trickiness with them is trying to make them all have a different attitude on the page, which isn't so hard for me, but I can imagine it's really hard for some people. Sometimes it's hard to get them all in the right shot too. And the hardest thing for me is the weird thing, because I'm pretty good about making them all feel different and look different. But for some reason, Iron and Gold to me seem like the same character all the time. Like they don't really change character too much. They usually have the same attitude. And they're kind of redundant, those two. Every other one has a specific attitude, but those two seem very redundant. Like they almost both seem like leaders of the team. Like it's almost like one's Superman, one's Batman, but the other one's not brooding. Like I've never understood that about the book. But the weird thing about the book, if anybody's who's reading it, issue 7, we introduced the Gas Gang, which is like a whole team of animal robots. So that was interesting because I basically had a snake robot, a wolf robot, an eagle robot, like all these robots that have to move around as a team, and they had to fight chemo. And whenever you're drawing animals, it's not like I'm good at drawing cats, so it's one thing for me to draw a cat, but I'm not good at drawing a tiger. I'm not good at drawing a wolf. You know, drawing robots, sure, but a lot of that has to do with how legs move, how they pose. Like I had to draw like a tiger guy being bored and yawning. It's like I don't know how a tiger yawns, so you have to go research all these poses. And a lot of it, so storytelling has a lot to do with anatomy, the anatomy, but gesture. If you can have good storytelling on the page, but if you don't have the gestures right, then they're not emitting their emotion, which does have a part in place in the storytelling of the page. So that was super difficult drawing these animals to me. Like that was the hardest thing I probably have ever drawn in comics, because it was just a mixed bag of animals acting. And that was just such a nightmare. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be when I was first starting it.
So we did have one person claim the Supergirl. He wants it, or she. I'm not really familiar with that thing. It's associated with either. But that person, Chi, would like your Supergirl ink.
Okay, cool. All right. If they handle the payment through you or me, or I'm not sure.
Through you.
Okay. Just contact me on Facebook about it, and if there's a specific Supergirl suit you're looking at, I can still tweak it. So send me that if you're interested in that.
All right. So and we still have the Deathstroke available, and there is a
Hal Jordan. Yeah, I'll hold the Hal Jordan up one more time. A Hal Jordan commission.
Yeah.
It's already done, so it's just a bust ink shot of Hal Jordan. And I'll hold the Deathstroke. Now the Deathstroke is already, the costume's already done. This would be the Rebirth suit. It's already in the works. It'd be really, I really don't want to go to the trouble of changing it. So this is, I'm known for drawing the variant covers on this series. I did it for, I think, 28 issues or something like that, the variants for this. So that's that Rebirth suit, which was more of the skin tight ninja stealthy suit.
Yeah. Which, if that one's available at the end, I'll claim it.
So when going, like you said, you did 28 issues. Do you kind of get a heads up, like, hey, you're gonna be doing like 20 covers in a row for a title, or is it more like 5 at a time type of thing?
I don't know. I see. This is where I start talking about DC publication stuff. They didn't tell. No. See, it's a good question though. I was told I would be on it, and it was shipping twice a month, and that's all I knew. I did not know how long I would be on it. They said you're just on it, but it's almost like they didn't know how far they were. See, I guess it's safe to say they didn't know how long the sales would sustain on it to keep the series going. So nobody said, "Hey, we're going." I don't think they ever knew they were going. I think they knew they were going to 12 issues at the beginning, but I don't know if they knew that the series would take off. I think the Priest was the writer on the book, and I don't know if people, which he had a good run on Black Panther and stuff. So it's interesting. I kind of got the feeling they didn't know if people would really support the title. Deathstroke's a weird character. There's a fan base there, and you think it's big, but it's really not as big as you think. Like, I mean, I sell a lot of covers, I do, and nobody bought any Deathstroke covers. Like, there's a weird audience there. There's a lot of Deathstroke fans, but they're not in the I want to buy Deathstroke original fans. It's really strange. Because I can do any Marvel cover like Doctor Strange, a lot of B-list characters, even Metal Men covers I've sold. I don't sell. I've not sold too many Deathstroke covers. It's very strange.
So I guess with knowing like say if you knew you had like a run of like 12 covers, something like that, would your approach be different to those covers at that point than knowing you only have 1 or 2?
So at first we just started with some awesome shots of the character, one because they were trying to sell this less bulky armor suit idea. So I think one of the first covers, I did 2 covers. My first 2 covers, it's interesting because one was Deathstroke, and half his face is the black half of his mask is a skull, and there's like a sniper scope on it. That was supposed to be cover number 2. Cover number 1, I have him jumping out a window with his sword kind of coming at you, and a lightning bolt behind him and shattered glass everywhere. Because cover number 2 was so much, it was so cooler, it got bumped to issue 1. So even if we strategically said, I want a nice shot of the character jumping out of a window, actiony in this new suit, I still ended up with a better image on number 2, and it dominated. And then 3, like they'll say, well, now we're introducing Rose, and she's like chained up or something like that in the book. So then I, worked that in. Because I was the variant cover, I was always supposed to kind of touch the storytelling stuff, but it was more DC's attitude. I was working with Mark Chiarello on that, was to have a nice shot, which was relaxing. But at the same time, I don't know, that it was kind of hard to do with Deathstroke. I think another strong cover I came out of that series was with him with these gums for wings. Like he's like a Grim Reaper death type thing. And that was interesting because quickly Marvel copied that cover. There was like a Deadpool duck cover that ripped it off. And then there was... I want to say a Domino cover or something that ripped it off. And so a lot of times I was just trying to play around and come up with cool images of Deathstroke, but then sometimes they were story-driven covers. Like there was a 2-issue thing where he was fighting Superman. So I had, they wanted to do an homage to the Death of Superman cover with the ripped up Superman cape, right? But they wanted it hanging off the Deathstroke sword. That was actually the one thing I didn't like about the Deathstroke covers was his sword, because they gave him a new modern suit, right? But then they kept that classic George Perez sword with the big hilt and stuff, and it never fit. I don't think that sword visually fit with his suit. I think they should have switched the sword into more of a lean, maybe ninja sword or type of, just even if it was a broadsword, that big bulky hilt did not make sense. I don't know the story behind that sword, if it had a story to it. I think it did, but still, like I think it was a new 52 Deathstroke even had a different sword. That sword was a pain in the butt to draw every time too. But it cosmetically did not fit with the rest of his suit. So sometimes we had story elements to the covers, but a lot of times it was just trying to think of a new cool visual with Deathstroke to draw. So it wasn't exactly what you would think it would be.
Yeah, I remember the Deathstroke cover with the sword and then the mask kind of hanging off the sword there. I saw Deadpool even copied that one where there's a stick in the ground and Deadpool's decapitated head is on it. And
I had like a Green Arrow cover I did, and it got pulled. It went up for solicitation and it got pulled. I had to do it over Thanksgiving too, because somebody messed up on it. It was a Deathstroke helmet on the ground with arrows shot into it. And I guess, I don't know if somebody thought it was too... I don't know if that's what got me the Deathstroke job, because... But it's weird. They pulled it, but then it became a t-shirt through graffiti. And it was just so weird. Like, you guys don't want to print the cover, but you want to make a t-shirt out of it. That was weird. And then I got the Deathstroke gig when they were doing Rebirth after that. But I don't know if they thought the helmet being on the ground with arrows sticking out of it was just too one of those morbid things, kind of like, is his head in the helmet, or was it just Green Arrow shooting? But it was very simple cover, and it was very cool. Like, it was simple and a cool cover. Like, some really simple covers are really awesome. Like, they're hard to pull off, though, and they're hard to convince people to let you do. And, like, even though I convinced them to let me do that for the cover on the short deadline, and it just never printed. Like, I think I sold that, too.
Now, you do have a Indiegogo that's on pre-launch right now.
It's just got a sign-up sheet or mailing list. If you get on the mailing list, though, you're going to have, if you want to buy the book, that's why I urge everybody to do it, is for my new book called Starlight Cats. Basically, if you like Deathstar, you're going to love this project. It's, imagine Ultraman, but a bunch of cats and a little girl fighting alien mice in space. But if you sign up for it, you can get a free trading card with purchase. So if you think you may be interested in the book, I would just go ahead and sign up for it. And I'm going to show more. We have a trailer we're working on, and the campaign's probably going to launch in late September, early October. So if you think you're interested, I would get in on it now, because of the you get access to the free trading card, which is only available if you're on the mailing list. So I would urge everybody to jump in on that. It's going to be in an original graphic novel. And again, if you ever liked the Superman Earth 1 cat story I did, the Deathstar origin story, or just like Deathstar at all, you're probably going to love the project.
Now, are you writing and doing the art on this?
Co-writing it with Yanzi Lin, and drawing it. So yeah, it's an interesting book. I can show you guys a cover to it if you want. I have to share a screen, though. Hang on one second. Let me hit share screen. Let me grab the application. Here you go. All right, there you go. This is a variant cover for it.
Oh, nice.
So if anybody's interested in the project, it will have just normal superhero cats along with it. This cover didn't showcase this. This is our Merlion variant cover, which is like a mythical beast and icon of Singapore. So it's kind of like half mermaid, half lion. So that was something we that works into the theme of the book. It's like in the book, it's going to be an ancient alien mythical beast that fell to Earth and died and cast out these jewels. But let me take away that, and I'll share another page from the book. You know. But stop share screen, share screen. They should make StreamYard should make this a little simpler, I think. This is another page from the book. So the cats, you can kind of see the cat heroes here. So very Ultraman type Power Ranger vibe where they have these color jewels. But it's just going to be fun adventure, cats doing wacky things, trying to, the rat alien there with the little girl is what we call a Verican, which are these crazy space aliens, which are basically rats, and all the cats are aliens. That goes back to the Egyptians and all this, and they've been looking for this fifth jewel, which is what the rat's holding there, that the little girl activates. So she becomes like one of them, like one of the Starlight Cats, and it's supposed to go to a cat, but it gets activated by accident. So we really wanted to kind of like American Tail type animation vibe to it and stuff like that. So we're going in, it's going to be an all ages book, but it's like for everyone. I mean, it's going to have like lots of adventure and stuff, but we want it, safe for children at the same time. So, but if you go to starlightcats.com, it'll just send you right back to the Indiegogo if anybody wants to check that out. And we'll have original art in the campaign for sale also. But again, like if you want the free trading card and you decide to buy the book, like you get the free trading card just for signing up for the email list. And it got a lot of people signed up for it on the first day, so it's looking pretty good.
That sounds great. We do want to go off one more time. Shane still has the Deathstroke and the Hal Jordan available. If anybody would like to claim those.
Also, those cool Superman cards, man.
Yeah. These again, they're numbered and they're from another country, so these weren't ever in the United States. I'm gonna try to hold it up so you get a better look. They're numbered. If you'll see, they're numbered here at the. I'm not used to the camera that much. They're numbered at the bottom. The information from the company is here, and it's basically a sketch card, and unless you were in Naples in 2012, you probably couldn't have gotten these. So this is probably your only way to get these. This isn't something I think you can find on eBay too well or anything like that. And I'll sign these.
I don't usually do this, but
to claim one?
I claimed one.
There you
All
go.
right.
I would love to.
Nice. Well, to be fair, I'm fixing to claim a Deathstroke. Okay. Nobody does. So,
you don't feel the need to do that. I didn't even know it was there, to be honest. So, unless you really want it, don't feel the need to.
No, I was wanting the commission from you. I really was, and Greg's a fan of that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, Superman Earth 1 was. I mean, I'm not a big Superman fan, but that book came out and it was astonishing. So.
I forgot I even had these. I don't know how I came across these. So, like, the only reason I even have these is they just got lost in some luggage from when I went to Italy to do a signing. So, I mean, feel free to grab them. I only have a few of them. It's weird. I have a lot of these things. I went through storage and they're either like I had a Mad Max print I forgot I did for DC, and I got some of the prints. It was the San Diego Comic Con exclusive at the WB booth for Mad Max, and I forgot I even done it. And those things, I looked them up on eBay. They're worth quite a bit. It's like weird. Like I end up with a lot of these little things, because they'll always give you a stack of them for doing the signing and whatnot. I never think that they're, they hold any value or anything. I usually just cite them in my portfolio and go on, So
we hear that a lot with like comic reps and stuff like that. Like famously, one I heard is like Greg Capullo. They went to his storage and it's like just stacks and stacks of comps boxes on top of each other. And like Greg, some of these books are worth like $50-$60, and they're just sitting there with another box on top of them and stuff like that.
Yeah, I came across a bunch of Rage of the Red Lanterns in storage and some the Jason Todd Batman annual stuff. And I forgot, like, I had so many of those put away from comps. And some of those second second, third printings, the print runs are lower, so I didn't realize they were the ones that were worth stuff. And of course, I was getting all those, so I have I was going through my storage, just going through all this stuff, and I guess you forget to look up the value, because I know I have first appearances of characters in some, but also just story points like that Death in the Family. I think that was the first time that Jim Aparo page printed the one where Robin lived. That was the first time it actually printed. And that was also where Superboy Prime punched a wall that started the whole reality changing thing. I forget I drew that sometimes, and that's where that started, Somebody, yeah, it's weird. Over time, you forget what you've drawn, what you have, and I collect some original art, but not too much. But I was getting out some old commissions I had a Bob Camp Ren and Stimpy commission I forgot I had gotten years ago. Stuff like that.
I guess we used to joke, it was, how did Jason Todd come back? And it's just, Superboy Prime was punching the walls of reality and somehow changed it.
I brought that up to DC. We at New York Comic Con this last year. We were at a dinner, and I guess they were talking about their new stuff and continuity stuff going on with the Watchmen stuff Jeff was doing and everything. And people were just arguing a little bit, not arguing, but they were just going back and forth in conversation. I had to remind everybody at the table that, I had to remind them I was the guy that drew Superboy punching a wall, and it fixed all these continuity issues. All you need is a 2-pager like that, and you can. It is weird because it's everybody laughed because I actually did do it. It was yeah, that's all you had. Because this is the thing, people will hate it, but it gets you past the change, and then you just start going forward, and it's fine. I mean, continuity is so hard to deal with, in comics. I can't imagine it. I'm just an artist. I just have to draw it. But I've also had to draw some scenes where it's the only thing people are doing is moving past continuity. I can't imagine how these companies really, because doesn't Marvel keep all their continuity? They've never actually reset continuity.
I just tend to ask what is continuity these days. I mean, for me, I kind of make it up myself for what I've read and what I, enjoy. But I don't. To me, that's not the biggest pressure in comics. Is did this event happen 20 years ago, and does it matter today? I mean, if I read it, I liked it, then in my head, that's just part of the journey.
Yeah, it's strange to me because. I don't know. As a comic fan, some of this stuff is really important, but at the same time, I don't know how important can it be. You know what I mean? Because the stories have to keep moving forward. I mean, Batman can't have 20 Robins, stuff like that.
I think he begs to differ.
Well, my wife's a huge Robin fan, so I know all about it. That's actually how me and my wife met, was me drawing the Batman annual. So she was a big Jason Todd fan.
Okay.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yep. Huge fan of Jason Todd.
I think what's weird is when I was working on that at the time, some editors at DC was trying to say, we should do a Red Hood series, but make Red Hood the Punisher of the DC universe. And I don't think, of course, later on they did do a Red Hood series, but I don't think they ever really. At the time, some people were feeling, whether it was Judd Winnick, I'm not sure if it was that was Judd's idea, but I think they really messed up there, because I do think they should have just kept going the Judd Winnick, fallen son attitude and do more of a Punisher type vibe, and just stick to that, because that seems like what the version of Jason Todd people like the most is the bad boy that pulls the trigger.
Sure. I mean, Scott Lobdell now is off the book as of October. I think he's written his final issue. So we'll be changing up the creative team. I don't know if that means, bringing in a new steady team, relaunch, 51 or what, but, I think that'd be fun to get.
I'd love to have Judd Winnick back at DC. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. Judd, I looked Judd up, and he's been doing, looks like a lot of a creator-owned type all at kids books. Yeah, I'm not sure, which is such a weird change from the stuff he was writing at DC. So I don't know what if that's just a choice, a conscious choice that he doesn't want to do more adult superhero stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. I don't know if he would. I don't know his position on it. If he would want to do that type of work at the same time he's doing the kids book type stuff. I don't know.
Would you be interested in going to draw for Red Hood and the Outlaws, whatever it's going to be now?
Yeah, see, that's the weird part I don't like. I feel like that character stands on his own, and I feel like they put these other characters with him, and I don't understand why they do that. I had a pitch I threw at DC for the Red Hood, and I was like, it had to do with Talia and Ra's al Ghul, but it was basically setting him up to be like the next leader of the League of Assassins.
That'd be awesome.
And I was like, you should really just weigh in on this, and like, what if like the League of Assassins followed him, like he had to defeat Ra's al Ghul, and he, that whole, thing that Ra's al Ghul was trying to do with Bruce Wayne Batman, or do with Batman and all of that, but do it with Jason Todd and him become the new head of the League of Assassins. But maybe once he gets there, he hates it because it's like all the League of Assassins are like, just hitting the streets of Gotham and trying to, have the Jason Todd, attitude. I was like, this could be really cool, like a cool story arc. And then he gets to be king. And once he's there, maybe he sees the faults in his logic. But it seemed like they were even going into he's using rubber bullets and non-lethal methods. But it's weird, if you go to Injustice or you go to any video game, everybody kind of goes right back to the Red Hood that was in the Judd Winnick stuff. And I think that goes back to when I was working on that DC editorial was saying that I think they were looking at him like this could be our Punisher, type character. And I think there's some higher up at Warner Brothers that maybe is afraid to go that way because he was a Robin. But it's weird because when you go to the video games, he's using guns and grenades and everything. I don't know. I wonder if there's some type of corporate synergy there that just says we can't do that with a Robin. We can't, commit to that. I don't know.
I mean, he is the fallen Robin.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's how I looked at it, and that's how a lot of fans look at it. And it's weird. My wife buys all this Red Hood merchandise when it comes out, and there's so many Red Hood Hush era, Judd Winnick era products they make. Every now and then they'll make the one with the red bat on his chest type thing, but there's still a fandom that's from that era. So it's very strange, in my opinion, that they just don't lean into it a little bit and commit to it. Because besides in the 90s, they had that Hitman character. DC really doesn't have that anti-hero strong character like Ghost Rider or
might be the closest.
Who?
The Spectre.
Yeah, but see, they don't do anything with him, and the problem with that and is he's too powerful. It's hard to have the Spectre active in the DC universe because whenever there's an event or something, the Spectre technically could be the one, no matter what the threat is, he could solve it. At the snap of his finger. I mean, that's the problem with some of those characters is they're so powerful they could stop any event because. Like technically he could beat Darkseid, I guess. Like, so how do you ever have a threat from Darkseid? You almost have to forget the Spectre exists. Yeah. It's weird. There's some characters like him, Phantom Stranger, stuff like that. They just have that god level power base that it's really hard to technically even Swamp Thing's kind of like one of those characters that you would think he could like almost defeat anything, Like he could just
all life that's not sentient, basically.
Yeah.
Well, Shane, we are out of time, buddy. Man, it was a pleasure having you on. I am going to go ahead and claim that Deathstroke since nobody did.
All right, cool.
Man, I appreciate you coming out. It was great to talk to you.
Thanks a lot. And again, anybody that's interested in mailing list, go to starlightcats.com and sign up for that. And it was good being on, man. It's always good talking to you guys.
All right, buddy. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to read off the sponsor obligations and then cut to a break. And We will be back at 5:30 with
David Barron.
David Barron. All right, Jake. We'll see you next time, bud.
All right, take care.
Bye.
All righty. So let's get cracking on this. Let's
Get the sponsors back up.
Yeah, man.
That was awesome. I love talking comics with everybody.
Yeah.
I think we do that for hours, just talking about Jason Todd.
Especially someone like he's had, he's worked on a lot of books. A lot of the interiors had some influence, created a lot of characters. So I mean, it's kind of a he's to me, Shane Davis is a guy that doesn't get as much recognition as I think he should, because of the impact he's had on the industry.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go.
Sponsors, we have the Short Box Podcast. They are Jacksonville's premier comic podcast. If you're looking for new podcasts, check out the Short Box.
JJ's Comics and Art. Head over to their Instagram bio to check out the latest they have, whether it's comics, comic art, Funko Pops, trading cards, or even maybe Pogs. He's talking about Pogs. He should have Pogs.
We have Scott's Collectibles. Scott's brought us a lot of great guests this weekend, so head over to scottscollectibles.co.uk for more offerings.
MajorPain.com is a new retailer that just launched their website, I believe, back on Independence Day. And if you're, interested in finding some really cool, hard to find books or comic art, give them a call or head to their insider group and request to join.
Heck yeah. Alpha Omega Certification is the official CGC facilitator for Comic Conline. Head over to alphaomegacertification.com for a list of signature opportunities.
OutrightGeekery.com is the official news provider for Comic Conline. Head to their website to see the latest in comic-related news.
The Comic Book Shopping Network is Facebook's premier comic shopping hub. If you want to sell, buy, go over there. The daily. Check it out.
You bought some cool stuff from there last night.
I bought some cool stuff last night. I was going to give that one a break.
OasisComics.com is your home for Jay Lee and David Barron, who's coming up next.
Yes.
Exclusive covers. Head over there now and you can pick up the Power Rangers color blanks, which are exclusive to OasisComics.com.
And head over to coffincomicsshop.com for that beautiful Our Germ Lady Death Comic Conline exclusive. It runs through Monday.
All right, guys. That's going to be it for us for now. We'll be back in 26 minutes, I believe.
With David Barron.
That's right.
It's going to be awesome.